All right, giving everyone just a second to make it to the live stream. Wasn't that a fantastic panel that we just had? Thanks again, Dolores and Hanifa, for speaking. I hope you had great discussions in your tables about this really important topic. And please feel free to share any highlights from your conversations in the chat. My name is Emma Renarts. I'm the Communications Manager for Social Canada, and I'm just here to share some very quick updates from the sector since we've been working and collaborating on a fair bit of research in recent months. So first is our Buy with Impact Social Procurement in Canada 2022 report. We put this on the website yesterday, so it's brand new. This year, we conducted a survey of our social purchasing partners and contracted consulting clients who represent a wide range of organizations from municipal governments, public institutions, private companies, and nonprofits. We asked about where they are currently at on their social procurement journeys to get a snapshot of what's happening in the sector. At the high level, we're seeing communities and organizations working together to add value to procurement in multiple ways, through Indigenous procurement, sustainable procurement, benefit-driven procurement, and more. And purchasers are increasingly seeking out social value suppliers, like social enterprises, diverse-owned businesses, Indigenous businesses, and others to buy from. So in our survey, we heard from 17 partners and clients who worked with us in 2022. Here are the social purchasing partners who responded to the survey. And here are the contracted clients who responded to the survey. Some key learnings we heard, really this reinforced our understanding that social procurement is a journey. People are at different stages of education, piloting, to full-blown implementation and updating, iterating their policies and programs. We also heard that there's significant stakeholder and public support from internal employees and staff, all the way to community advocates and intermediaries. And ultimately, we really heard that the organizations who responded are committed to championing the work to advance the movement for a social value marketplace. We also heard a lot of shared challenges, which is not surprising, and probably these will resonate with many of you. Issues around access to resources, identifying social enterprises and other suppliers. Do you use certification lists? We've heard some of the challenges there. How else do you know who's available to buy from? There's also competing priorities within organizations, decentralized procurement practices, which make it hard to track the impacts that you're really achieving, and as always, pressures on staff time and organizational capacity. One major area flagged where there's still room to grow is in public reporting on social procurement outcomes and impact, whether it's quantitative data or more stories about outcomes. Part of this area for growth also comes from the fact that 53.3% of respondents said no to the question, do you track your organization's social procurement spend? Reporting, which we can see here on this donut chart, when we asked if anyone published any reports to the public on their implementation, no one actually said yes. Everyone said either no or no, but we plan to. And so reporting really relies on measurement, which Tori Williamson and the next speakers in the next session will elaborate on soon. In this report, we highlight several purchaser stories, including 3 different ways social procurement innovation is showing up in construction sector activity, with stories from Delnor Construction, Chandas Construction, and the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust. We also spoke to a municipal purchaser and a community advocate about the role of community engagement in the successful adoption of a new sustainable procurement action plan in the city of Winnipeg. And I won't say more on that now because it might also spoil some further upcoming content. And finally, we also highlighted the important regional work being done by the BC Social Procurement Initiative, or BC SPI, to lead and support municipalities and public institutions in BC with tools and frameworks for impact measurement. And there's some really impressive numbers in that case study if you take a look. Within the Buy with Impact report, we've also included a jurisdictional scan highlighting public sector purchasers across Canada who are implementing social procurement using a range of different tactics and at different levels of formality. Within the scan, policies and programs are organized by level of government or other public sector purchasing organizations. There's also a separate section for policies and projects specific to the construction sector. And again, a special shout out here to the work of BCSPI, since the BC Municipal Government section of this scan is by far the most robust, with 20 policies or programs listed. And this portion of the report is really intended to be a living document. Social Canada is creating this resource as a list of organizations with social and Indigenous procurement policies and programs so that we can track progress and momentum together. So when you read through the scan, if you think your organization is missing, you can email us at info@bisocialcanada.com to be included. This week, as of this morning, we're also launching the Guide to Social Procurement in Tourism, Hospitality, and Events. We've seen really exciting movement, as Liz mentioned at the beginning, in the tourism, hospitality, and events sector in recent years as a space for growth with social procurement. And I really want to say that we're grateful for the support and advocacy of Bisocial Canada social purchasing partner Destination Vancouver, who sponsored this guide. To give some context, here's an excerpt from what Royce Twin, Destination Vancouver's president and CEO, said in his introduction to the guide. This guide empowers businesses and individuals in the tourism sector to incorporate social procurement practices to create a powerful ripple effect. Done correctly, those practices instill confidence, offer a competitive advantage, increase community visibility, enhance employee engagement, and leverage the supply chain for positive social impact. So this guide really covers the what, why, and some of the how of designing and implementing social procurement, with a focus on how these concepts and tactics can be applied by businesses and organizations in the tourism, hospitality, and events sector. The guide walks through the 5 nonlinear steps of what we call the social procurement journey, sharing tangible actions and tactics for each area of learn, policy, measure, lead, and test and do, along with case studies highlighting tourism sector social procurement progress across Canada and internationally. There's a real spotlight on case studies from British Columbia, led by champions including Destination Vancouver, 4VI, which was formerly known as Tourism Vancouver Island and who became a social enterprise in 2022, and Indigenous Tourism BC, an organization which both practices Indigenous and social procurement and is a resource for others to do the same. The guide also highlights the national and global movements in the tourism sector to create additional community benefits. Some examples you'll find include Explore Edmonton, the Scottish Community-Owned Tourism Network, and the New Zealand Tourism Sustainability Commitment. And there's other sort of examples of how to put the various things we talk about in the guide into practice. And as Hanifa mentioned in the first panel this morning, we've also got some really exciting research coming out soon with Anchor.to on self-attestation. We're really seeing that people are interested and committed to diversifying the supply chain and removing the barriers that exist. And to do this, people are looking at everything from the size and complexity of RFP processes, I think that was mentioned in the chat earlier, to also verification and certification of suppliers, and the legacy and perpetuation of racism and colonial systems. So with Anchor.to, we're researching self-attestation as a potential way to increase inclusion in the supply chain. And the findings of this research, which Anchor.to will be sharing in coming weeks, will add to the dialogue for advancing social procurement to achieve maximum community benefit. So we're really excited to see that out in the world soon. Overall, we're grateful to be part of adding new resources and learnings to the social procurement ecosystem and the movement to create a social value marketplace where profit is no longer the ultimate goal. Now I'd like to hand it over to Tori Williamson, Nicole Monaco, and Hugh Lamb, who will share case studies on measurement and reporting, one of the areas of growth that we hope to see expanded in coming years. And just a technical note for the audience, as we switch between these two sessions, there may be a small buffer period, so you may be pushed back into your tables, but it won't really be long enough to start a conversation. And so with that, we'll switch it over.